What's up everyone, it's Brad with the Hodl fandom. People are making a fortune from Metaverse land sales, and the Veveverse will provide the same opportunities. For when the Veveverse launches, I've compiled a list of things that can make certain Metaverse land more valuable than others. And these are things I want you to keep in mind. We are still a bit away from the first iteration of the Veveverse, but when it does roll out, I want you to be primed to take advantage. Let's get into it. Veve's multiverse will be uncharted territory for the company, but we can get some clues on how things might look by looking at current metaverses such as Decentraland and Sandbox. An interesting fact, David Yu mentioned that Decentraland was a partner with Ecomi back in 2018. Obviously things have changed since then and Ecomi are building their own metaverse, but it's clear they were on the same page back then. So looking at Decentraland, similar to regular real estate, location matters. But what does this mean? It doesn't work exactly like the real world. One aspect to look at in Metaverse land is to avoid being surrounded by others. In Decentraland, people spend a ton of time designing their property and making it look nice. There is a strong desire to show that off. If you are in the middle of other people's properties, they can block the view of your property. I expect this to be the same thing in the Veveverse. People already spend a ton of time designing their own showrooms, and I'm sure those people will want to show those off as well. So one strategy is to target land that is beside a major road. Not only does this protect the look of your property as I mentioned, but it also has more footfall. This then also opens the door for property that can be rented out. Now you may not want to do that, but at least you'll have that option. One aspect of renting, specifically regarding renting out for advertising space, is about how many impressions your property has on people. So while certain lakefront property might look good to you, the owner, if nobody's looking at it, nobody would want to advertise on there. So when we talk about making money off of Veveverse or Metaverse land, areas with significantly greater footfall can have two types of income. You could have the option for recurring income in terms of a rental income, but that rental income is also baked into the price, the capital appreciation, if and when you do decide to sell. Let's move on to the next thing in Decentraland that makes property more valuable, and if it's close to landmarks. I do have a Decentraland account, as you can see here. I don't use it that often. The last time I logged in prior to today was to get this free Zed-Run t-shirt. I do have a small stable of really bad horses that lose more than they win, but I did breed something called a super coat, which I'm trying to sell, and maybe use the proceeds to buy more Omi. Anyways, one of the major landmarks in Decentraland are the plazas. These are areas where players respawn, meaning that when you enter the game, you start off at a plaza. Plazas are also places where events are hosted. There is a trade center where land and wearable sales can take place. There's an auditorium, a disco, and an art installation. As a result, plazas are some of the highest footfall areas on the map. Again, that's key for both capital appreciation and rental income. For Veve, this could possibly be something like a Veve headquarters or a main hub where events are held. If you look at any MMORPG, or specifically any of the ones that I've played, like World of Warcraft or Elder Scrolls Online, they've all had something like this. So it's a pretty safe bet. It's pretty safe to say that there should be something like this when the full Veveverse rolls out, and that's something that we should be looking for in terms of buying land around those areas. So that would be my goal, get unblocked land near the main landmark or headquarters. Now, if that's not an option, there are still opportunities, and we can look at both Decentraland and Sandbox to show that proximity to other high-profile land can be worth speculating on. With Decentraland, these are in the form of what they call districts. These are community-themed areas on the map, like Vegas City, where gambling takes place, or the Fashion District, where you can go shopping. Each district governs itself and is responsible for growing, building, and maintaining the area. With Sandbox, these are kind of like their themed areas owned by different companies. There is a lot of speculation here too, as we don't exactly know what everyone is building on these plots of land, and if it will be good. Are they building a game or an experience, and will that drive people to it? Many times with many of these things, people don't know. So what I'm trying to say here is that they're not slam dunks. There are risks with these areas in that they don't build a good use case on that land. In Decentraland, these districts run into the risk of not meeting expectations of building what they advertise. There are districts that are pretty barren, and they're not attracting any footfall. In fact, there have been a lot of districts that have been dissolved due to not meeting Decentraland expectations. There are similar risks with Sandbox, with the themed land not living up to the hype. Regardless, people are willing to take that risk as somebody bought a plot of land beside Snoop for about $450,000. So what is the lesson here for Veve? If we look at known licenses that might have themed land, if that is a thing in the Veveverse, there are some obvious ones that you should look at based on, let's say, fan base size. Marvel, Disney, Star Wars, and DC. We also need to look at what kind of experience that they're building on there. If the Cryptkins, for example, are building the biggest casino, or if the Back to the Future area is building the best racing game with their DeLoreans and hoverboards, then that might be something that I would look into ahead of, say, a Star Wars museum, right? So when can we see all of this? The only information that we have is that the Veveverse will roll out in stages, with the first stage being more of an expanded and connected showroom. After that, we will get more of the Metaverse type of thing with maybe gamification. Nobody knows on the exact timelines. Just my final thoughts here. Land in the Metaverse is the next big money-making opportunity in crypto and the NFT space. I know we're a bit away from the Veveverse, but because of the opportunity, the great opportunity that it presents, it's never too early to start thinking about strategy, and these are my ideas as it stands today. As we get more information, we will revisit this and adjust our strategies accordingly. Anyways, thanks for watching. Please consider liking, subscribing, and following, and I'll see you in the next video.